see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you.
Good evening and welcome to WMGM TV Presents Pinky. My pleasure to be with you every Saturday night at this time. Tonight, a very interesting program for you, and I'm sure you will find it that way, as I'm going to introduce you to Jeanette Cadovive. And Jeanette, it's a privilege having you here.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Who is Jeanette Cadovive?
Well, what's a good way to begin? I am a little girl from the mountains of Colombia. I was actually born in Medellin. Come from a very humble beginnings. My parents, my mother came from a very poor family in the mountains. So I came to the United States when I was 10. My parents brought me here. I lived in New York for about a year, and I've been an Atlantic County local since 1982.
What brought them down here?
Basically, I'm assuming the casino industry, and my father had to believe that since before we came to the United States, he said, we're going to New York for 1 year, but you guys are not going to pick up the language there. So I'm taking you down to where you're going to learn how to speak English and you're going to learn how to be an American. And we did.
That's great. That's wonderful to have that opportunity to do so. Where did you go to work in the beginnings when you came here?
Well, I mean, I started working in, as a teenager. I worked in the boardwalk. I sold peanuts, and I worked, you know, all local businesses. And from there, basically the casinos once I, you know, left.
What did you do in the casino?
I started out as a cocktail waitress, and from there I moved on to marketing. I did marketing for approximately 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then the opportunity arose, they offered me a position at the Taj Mahal. They had offered me, poker had just gotten approved. And the gentleman that used to run the casino at the time said, you know, why don't you come down here and deal for us? We'll train you, we'll get your license, but I think this would be a great business for you. So. Didn't take 2 seconds. I mean, I went from making $9, $10 an hour to making tips and, you know, a fairly decent amount of money being a single mother. I jumped on it. And I did that for approximately on and off 15 years. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I'm very grateful, very grateful. It gave me the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and it gave me the opportunity to raise my children and give them a decent life.
All right. How many children do you have?
I have 3. I have a 24-year-old son. 24-year-old son. I have an 18-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old girl.
All right. Now, you've done all of that. You had all the background from Atlantic City, and all of a sudden you decided you wanted to get in business for yourself. How did that happen?
I mean, it's been a long dream of mine. Being here in Atlantic City, you grow up knowing that, you know, you drive down these small shops, and they're just, it's a community. And so I always wanted it. I just didn't know what I wanted to do, number one. And number two, when you have young children, I mean, it was very difficult for me to make that decision and say, I want to go into business when you know you got to dedicate so much time into it. So I knew that there was something for me to do, just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But once my oldest children, I mean, my oldest daughter's getting ready to go to college, and so I said, this is my time, this is my time. And for about 6 months, I meditated, and I asked for an opportunity to come, and it did, I have an amazing personal friends. They're my hairdressers. They own Daja Salon in Ventnor. And every week I would talk to him, James, and what can I do, James? And he said, you know, I think there's a really strong need for massage therapy in the area. So I started frequenting some of the places offshore, and I was amazed at how good and the quality. I mean, I've had massages done before in the casinos, or when I travel, you know, you go and you get a massage done, but the prices were, you know, for somebody that works in a casino or in a single mom like myself, it's just very steep. So I started looking at some of the places offshore, and I loved the idea. However, I really was uncomfortable with with the way, the setting. It was an amazing massage, but it was so,
You didn't have the surroundings.
Yes. And I said, I can do this, but I can bring it up a notch. And I can keep the same prices, bring this, keep this idea going. So I started looking into it, and I just found that there was a market. I started watching my neighborhood little massage therapy place, and every once a week I would go and look and spot and see how many people. I went from watching that place grow in a year to quite a profitable business. And so I said, he might be right, this might be it. And I just called a very good friend of mine, and I said, listen, I really need your help, and would you consider doing a partnership with me? I'm not going to fail. I know I'm right. I know I have a great idea. And I said, well, write a proposal. And when people come to me with business ideas, they have to. And I said, how am I ever going to write a proposal? I mean, I don't have the background, the education. He goes, if you want this bad enough, you'll figure it out. And I called a good friend of mine who's in PR, and I said, help me. And she sat down and she taught me how to write a proposal. We sat down, we wrote it down, presented it to my friend. He said, I'm impressed. How much do you need? He said, whatever you need, I'm giving you half. I said, I'm never going to make this happen. He said, you will. You have the drive, and you have the right idea. Make it work.
Well, you might ask now, how did Pinky come involved with this young lady and the factor of learning about it? You stay tuned, and you're going to find out how and why she is here today. You'll find out in just a couple minutes.